Welcome to Sustainable Packaging with Cory Connors. Today's guest is Meghan Olson, the Director of Commercialization for Myco Composites for Ecovative. How are you, Meghan?
I'm doing great, Cory. Thanks for having me here today.
It's my honor, and I hope I said your title correctly. It's a long one, which usually means you're either really smart or really good at what you do, or both.
You did say my title correctly. It just really helps to explain the platform within Ecovative that I'm really focused on.
Yeah, it's a very interesting product. It's a great company. I'm excited to have you on. Let's talk about, how did you get into sustainable packaging? What's your background?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So my background is mechanical engineering. I went to Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, got my undergrad in mechanical engineering and design, innovation, and society. So it was a dual major. And then I stayed at RPI for another year to finish my MS in mechanical engineering. So I will be honest, sustainable packaging wasn't really something that was heavily on my radar. But as a student at RPI, I learned about Ecovative, believe it or not, on my very first day of classes as a freshman, because
Awesome.
our co-founders, Evan and Gavin, went through the same program that I did. And so had, been a big fan of the company for many years. And as I started my career in other companies, it led me to Ecovative, and I'm really glad to be here. So,
Well, that's amazing. Tell us about Ecovative. What is it? What do you do? How does it work? I'm excited to tell the world about this.
yeah, absolutely. So Ecovative is a mycelium technology company. Mycelium is the root structure of mushrooms. So I'm on the team that grows mushroom packaging, and our material looks like this. So
Awesome.
Ecovative was founded around this material back in 2007. I mentioned our co-founders, Eben and Gavin. They met as students at RPI, and our composite material made with mycelium, the root structure of mushrooms, and hemp hurd was the original technology that the company was founded around. So as Ecovative scaled and grew, the company and all of my colleagues here have learned a tremendous about what mycelium is and how it functions, and have developed other platforms and other applications for mycelium as a material, mycelium as an ingredient. And so I just happen to be on the team that's really focused on preserving and continuing to expand our oldest technology platform, which, again, happens to be how I originally knew of Ecovative. So I have a really, really deep appreciation for this technology and for continuing to expand and scale our composite technology for our packaging solutions.
That's amazing. And we talk about this a lot in the sustainable packaging world. And so you guys get a lot of press that you don't even, ask for, but it's important to spread the word, because I think this is such an amazing innovation. Can you talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts? How long does it take to grow in a mold? Things like that. Can you tell us some of the details?
Yeah, absolutely. So starting with the ingredients, like I mentioned, our material is made from mycelium, the root structure of mushroom, and hemp hurd. It's really important to note that hemp hurd is the waste from the industrial fiber hemp plant, typically burned, doesn't really have a use for farmers. So we put that to use, and we use it as a part of the structure for our product. So we take the mycelium and the hemp, and at the beginning of our process, it actually really just looks like a pile of wood chips. It's hydrated and it's ready to grow. So we put that in a mold, and it can fall through your fingers. It's the material doesn't have a structure to it at that time. We put it into a mold, and it grows for 4 days inside of that mold. And then we pop the part out of the mold, and at that time it retains its structure, but it doesn't have this soft velvety overgrowth at that time. We then grow it for 2 more days, and that's the phase where we call the overgrowth. I actually have a part here. We have some parts where we intentionally grow them together to break apart to really optimize cost. So what you'll see, you might be able to see on the camera here, but in the inside of the part, you see a little bit of a different coloring from that hemp hurd. Again, it look like a wood chip. So you get that difference in coloring because of those 2 extra days of growth after we've popped apart from a tool. And then we dry it for 1 day. So very important to create an inactive product, right? So just like you think of a wooden pallet or wooden crate, it's not going to grow a tree. Silly analogy, but ultimately we're not going to end up growing a mushroom. Now it's interesting because I told you that we use mycelium, the root structure of mushrooms. We actually don't use a mushroom itself. So when you talk about the mushroom and the structure of a mushroom, you think about the mushroom that you buy in a store, a grocery store, right? And you think about that as a food. We never grow the fruiting body of a mushroom. We don't hit that part of the mushroom's life cycle. So we call it mushroom packaging because folks know what a mushroom is.
Right.
And, we've trademarked it as mushroom packaging, but ultimately it's made from mycelium, which is like the difference of an apple on an apple tree versus the roots of that apple tree, right? So a mushroom is like the apple, and the roots of that tree are like the mycelium, the roots that we use. So that's sometimes a helpful way to describe what it actually is. So ultimately, at the end of the process, we deliver, an inert product. It's not going to grow a mushroom, but it is going to add nutrients to your soil. It is a soil amendment, and it's fully home compostable. And it's also naturally water resistant. Hydrophobic is kind of the scientific word there. So it'll repel water, and the mycelium, that overcoat of mycelium that I mentioned from those 2 extra days of growth, really contributes to that outer softer surface and properties of our final product.
You said 2 things that kind of don't join together in my brain. One is that it's water resistant, and 2 is that it's fully compostable. So I'm assuming the water can seep in over several weeks. Is that the concept?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So we don't recommend submerging your packaging in water, right? It will take on water if it is fully submerged, but water will repel if it's sprayed on the surface, or even if you take your water bottle, which I will not do on screen because I've dumped water on my keyboard too many times doing that. But the water will stay in this cavity if I poured it out of my water bottle, for example.
Wow.
But over time, it will start to take on that water. The key thing about the home compostability aspect is it needs soil microbes to break down.
Right.
So we've done accelerated aging testing on our material. We haven't been around for 30 years, but we know that our material is fully shelf stable for up to 30 years. So if it's sitting on my desk or on a table in this room, it's not going to just break down and compost in front of your eyes. We get a lot of clients who ask us, well, is it going to start composting in shipment? No, it really needs exposure to those soil microbes to start to break it down. The other thing about the home compostability is if I were to put this piece of mushroom packaging in the soil, just as it is, it will take some more time to break down than if I were to break it into smaller pieces, right?
Yeah.
So we're fully home compostable in 45 days when you break it down into small pieces about 1 inch in size, and it'll break down, similar to thinking of like a log in your garden versus a wood chip, right? They'll both break down, they'll both degrade over time, but those wood chips will return to the earth a little bit more quickly than the log in your garden. So
I love these analogies. Thank you so much. It makes perfect sense now. And I've researched this a lot. So I mean, but I'm learning so much from you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is brilliant. Can you make different densities of the foam or the material?
That's a great question. So yes, but we work to not do that at scale. So one of the things that we're doing right now in our facility as we're scaling up is we hand fill those parts. So we take the molds, we put the blend of raw materials into the molds. If you pack that material more densely down into the mold, you will get a denser part. You will be adding more material, so your final part will be heavier. When we scale our technology, which we're currently doing in this facility, and we're really scaling up in our brand new facility here in Green Island, New York, we have a process where we work to deliver a really consistent density, right? We need to deliver a consistent density to our clients. We need to deliver a product that is appropriately lightweighted for being a packaging material. And we work to deliver that consistently. So we have a step of our process that allows us to accurately weigh out the amount of raw material to deliver, again, a consistent finished product. With that being said, can we vary the density? Absolutely. There's different ways to do that with the raw material inputs, and we've done that extensively in the past. So for example, we've used ground up corn cob, and we've made really heavy pieces of mushroom packaging that feel like a brick. And actually, we've formed them in the shape of a brick. And if you were to throw it at someone, it would very much hurt. So like ultimately right now we are growing packaging. So we have standardized that process. We work to deliver something that is consistent consistent to our clients, that really is appropriately lightweighted for being a packaging material, but we can add different inputs to our process. And one of the ways that we allow our clients to do that, if they're looking to explore how they can vary the density, is actually working with our Grow It Yourself kits that we offer. We've got a lot of students and teachers and DIYers using our kits, and you can incorporate different materials into that blend. You could try to incorporate the ground up corn cob if you wanted, for example, and vary the density yourself. So yes, it's very much feasible. And we've done that extensively throughout our process of honing in and scaling up our process. But right now, as we're scaling our packaging even more to heavily service North America, we're delivering a really consistent product to our clients.
And I've had several people ask me, is there any cautionary tale here? Are we concerned with breathing in the spores of the mushrooms? And I was really excited to ask you about that.
I'm really glad you asked me about that, because we can confidently say no, because we don't grow spores in our process. So I wish I had a photo of the life cycle of a mushroom in front of me, but definitely encourage your listeners to go look that up. When you look at the life cycle of a mushroom and you look at the mycelium, that root structure that we're growing, because we aren't growing a fruiting body, we're also not growing the spores. So a lot of times folks will talk about our material and talk about the mycelium and just sort of use the word spores interchangeably with mycelium, because I think it's a word that more people know of, but we don't have any known allergens in our product, because we truly are not producing spores based on the life cycle of the mushroom, which is just within the root structure. We're growing the root structure. We're not releasing spores.
That's awesome. And that's a relief, frankly, because that was my assumption. I assumed it was totally safe and you wouldn't make something totally that you'd have to wear a mask around or anything. So that's great to hear. And I love all these natural products being turned into packaging. To me, that's just a brilliant step in the pursuit of sustainable packaging. Can you talk about the items that this material will replace or could replace in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're looking for specific packaging materials that we're working in place of. Yeah. So that's a great question. Ultimately, the best way to think of mushroom packaging and the way it functions is as a styrofoam replacement. We love replacing a fabricated foam, for example. We're very cost competitive with fabricated foams, with expanded foam in place solutions, for example. One of the things that we're finding a lot with clients, especially some of our smaller, newer brands looking for fully compostable, fully sustainable packaging solutions, is a lot of times we see our material compared with a molded paper pulp. Molded paper pulp tooling costs can be very challenging for some clients, often $10,000 plus just for the prototype. Then again, for the production tooling, we're nowhere near those costs for both the prototyping and the production tooling combined. We often find that clients with the molded paper pulp, for example, find challenges with some of their products with the scratching and scuffing that can happen from a molded paper pulp solution, whereas we have that soft, velvety, like overcoat feeling. I wish you could sort of feel this on the screen, but you could certainly, your listeners could certainly order a sample to understand
that's technology I'm working
feeling.
on, but no.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. But so that's an advantage when we're comparing with the molded pulp. Also, one of the things that you'll see with the difference from our material from a molded pulp is we do have a fully filled in backside of the piece, if you will. So you'll see when I'm comparing a couple of different parts at once for you, the surface texture is a bit different for these two parts. This part I'm showing you here, this is the molded side you're seeing. So it's a part of the molded geometry of the tool. Whereas this part, this is what we call our fill surface. So every single one of our parts does have a fully flattened surface. We put the molds through our filler and we flatten that out and smooth it out, but it does have a slightly different texture. Now this back side of the part is not hollow like a molded pulp solution would be, but an advantage here is when we design appropriately for a client's needs, it can often offer a lot more support for a product, for a heavier product, for example. So this pack here is a tincture or a small beauty bottle product type of design. We design for products from, small lightweighted products where the presentation is really important, all the way to heavy industrial servers and industrial equipment. And some of our design approach is different for each of those, right? This product, for example, if it was a sturdy glass bottle, might not really need quite this amount of packaging, but we're delivering this presentation value. We've got a little ribbing on the edge. We're thinking about the unboxing experience with the client and delivering a solution that protects their product and again, delivers a really beautiful unboxing experience to a client. And then, you know, we've got some of our more industrial products where we're really working to offer a performance protective packaging solution that's also fully home compostable, which we can do. Yeah. So those are my quick comments on different comparisons with mushroom packaging. Again, molded pulp is a great comparison with, you know, our ability to offer some additional value, some additional presentation value and unboxing experience. Fabricated foams, we love to replace foams, right? So it's nice when we get an opportunity to come our way where a client is, again, looking for a performance protective packaging solution that is fully home compostable, that's sustainable. But then we also work with clients who are exploring a variety of different options, and they're demanding sustainable packaging from the beginning to incorporate in their brand identity. But they're landing on us because they love the fact that we can offer something that performs for them, that protects their glass bottles, that protects their glass candles, but also delivers this unique story and unboxing experience.
You know, I appreciate what you just said. I think it's important to remember, and my friend Kate, the CEO of Dip already, she mentioned this for her products. There's nothing sustainable about a product that doesn't work. Right. And so for you to say that we've tested it, it works, it's performing in the marketplace, our customers are happy, they're coming back. The unboxing experience is amazing. At Landsberg, we like to say it's the promise of what's inside. And we enjoy that anticipation, and the opening experience is wonderful.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. And just to comment on that quickly, I completely agree with that. And there's nothing sustainable about a product that doesn't come intact to a client as well. Right. So I think there's a lot of talk around what sustainable packaging is, where some of it is offering a solution that's just more right sized to a product and to get a product to its final destination. And we do both, right? So we're offering that sustainable solution, but we're also fully protecting a product and making sure it's getting to its final destination intact. That's an important piece of the sustainability, right? You don't want to put your brand new oven in a landfill right away, right? So
well, and think about the environmental impact to have to reship the item back to the supplier and then get another one and reship it back to the customer. And then what do you do with the item that broke? You're going to repair it, maybe, and how much labor and how much effort and how much cost and how much carbon emissions come from all of that. So I couldn't agree with you more. It's so important to ship it right the first time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well said. Well, let's talk about your facility there. You said you're in New York.
Yes.
And there's plans to expand, or you're currently expanding your capabilities?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are based in Green Island, New York. We're right outside of Troy, New York area. Folks know us more probably for the Albany, New York area. So we're upstate. And this is where Ecovative originally began, our original roots for Ecovative. So Ecovative's pilot production facility is here right next door to the building I'm sitting in. I'm sitting in our new mushroom packaging space right now. And as I mentioned, Ecovative is a mycelium technology company, but was founded around our composite material, our myco-composite material that we've branded as mushroom packaging when we apply it, to a packaging solution. So as we've expanded and grown, Ecovative has brought on a lot of new technologies and applications for our mycelium technologies. And we've converted our pilot production facility for different mycelium platforms. So right now we're focused very heavily in Ecovative HQ on our food product for our My Forest Food spin-out company producing a bacon product. So that's what our headquarters was converted to a couple of years ago, as we've been expanding our mushroom packaging platform through a licensing program. And we've got some really great licensees that we're working, but as we've been supporting those licensees, we've learned two things. Number one, we can support those licensees better when we're doing it ourselves, and we're learning ourselves along the way. So
Yeah.
we have a really great team member who's been with Ecovative for almost a decade, and we're super fortunate that she is fully focused on our mushroom packaging platform. She's our director of technology, Melissa. She's amazing. But along with her, we need more team members, who are a little bit newer to the organization. So I've been with Ecovative for about 3 years now, who can continue to learn from what we're doing to better support our licensees. But in addition to that, from what I've seen from my end, from the commercialization end, from supporting clients, we've seen just a tremendously growing demand for mushroom packaging, especially in North America. And this is the market that, we started in and that we want to continue to invest in. So we've reinvested in manufacturing mushroom packaging ourselves. And we're building out our facility right in Green Island, New York right now. It's about a 20,000 square foot facility, again, right next door to Ecovative's headquarters. And we'll be commissioning that facility mid to late next month. We're supporting onboarding of clients right now. We are hand filling parts, as I mentioned. So we are producing parts, but we're really in that mode of scaling up so we can bring on a lot more clients. So this is just facility number 1 out of many more to come throughout North America.
That's exciting. And that makes a lot of sense to grow the packaging as close to where it's used as possible.
Exactly.
Well done. Yeah, good job. Well, this is very exciting. Anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to today? Any new innovations, or do you have any other samples there you want to show us?
Well, I do have a sample behind me here that might be neat to show you, because I talked about mushroom packaging, right? But this is a different geometry. This is not a packaging solution. It's just one of our acoustic tiles that we have, made out of the same material as the samples that I shared with you here. But we have different applications for our microcomposite material. So that's why my role, as I mentioned, microcomposite, kind of our technology platform, mushroom packaging, our packaging application. We're heavily focused on the packaging application right now. That's what our facility here is really scaled for, really designed for. But there are a lot of other great applications for this composite technology platform. Again, the acoustic tiles are really neat. We will likely be doing some work in the coming years supporting that area as well. But just wanted to clarify that there's actually a lot of other really neat uses for our material. And the grow it yourself kits that I mentioned are a great way for folks to try it themselves. It literally taking the same raw material blend that we use and growing different shapes. We've got people growing teddy bears or plant pots or all different things. And so we're learning from our network every day, different applications for our material, but ultimately really focus on the packaging, right? So we do focus heavily on custom molded shapes of packaging. We're launching a web store along with our new facility where we'll have standard parts available, different corners, different end caps, some of our standard tincture bottle designs. It really helps to show our potential clients different applications in the packaging world for our material, but also potentially finds a match with a client's needs for something we already have. But I guess what I just add there is we really do focus on the custom molded shapes with clients as well, because we want to find the right balance of optimizing cost, performance, that unboxing experience that a client is looking for, and ultimately designing appropriately for what the needs of a client are. It can add a lot more value than a standard shape that we offer that might not be a perfect match. But our standard shapes are great for, we've got quite a number of clients who are using those breakaway corner design that we have, for example, where we have a set of 4 corners like this. We grow them. We grow them in a breakaway design so we can optimize on cost, and they can be broken into 4 individual corners. We've got a number of clients using that for overpacks and really fully protecting a product. So wide range of options to support. We love supporting clients with new custom designs. I'll just add that mushroompackaging.com is a place to learn more about us. Of course, ecovative.com as well, because Ecovative, our mycelium technology company where our technology was born out of. But if you're looking for more information specific to our packaging solution, our mushroompackaging.com site is the place to start.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't think about acoustic panels. What a brilliant idea. I meet with a lot of other podcasters, and they have oftentimes surrounded themselves with polyurethane foam, and that's just because that's industry standard. That's what people think they need to use. But to use a more environmentally friendly product is brilliant. I did have one last question I hadn't thought of until you showed me those products. All of the products seem to be like a cream color. Could you possibly add some kind of a natural dye to them? Is that possible?
It's a great question. So when we're growing our packaging material, the mycelium is alive, and the mycelium will consume a dye if we mix it into the process. And we've experimented with that. So ultimately right now we do deliver our packaging really in this natural cream color. It's the color of the mycelium as it grows naturally. There are options for adding a paint or some kind of final layer. It's not something that we offer in our standard production process. It's also very important to us to make sure that the finished product is still fully home compostable. So
Right.
experimenting with different coatings, such as a beeswax or a mineral based paint that's fully home compostable, are certainly options. And it's something that a client could add to the finished part. It's not something that we offer at scale right now. Ultimately, the best way for us to add customizability to our packaging is when we can do that passively in our existing process instead of with another step. There might be options for us in the future where a strain of mycelium could impact that, could change the coloring. So different interesting things that we could try. But to answer your question directly on the dye, the mycelium will consume it if we mix it into the process. So
That's
we
interesting.
really are growing our packaging. We're not kidding about that one. So we need to work with mycelium for all of its strengths, and ultimately we deliver in that cream color right now.
Wow, exciting stuff, Megan. Thank you again for being on the show. I'd love to come out and do a tour someday if that would be okay.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you here, especially after we're fully commissioned in our new space. We're excited to show it off and would love to have you here.
Thank you.
Of
And I'd like
course.
to thank Berg Aurora for sponsoring this podcast. If you're listening, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and give us a review. We appreciate that so much. Thanks again, Megan.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much for your time.